Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 52 of Ultima's 10. It has been nearly 20 days since I've sat down and played some Minecraft, and in that time a bunch of stuff has changed. In fact, I even made some progress in between episodes. I went out to all of the respective dimensions, to the nether, to the end, and just in the overworld, and found all of these bosses, and even killed one of them on accident. What happens when you do infinite damage? And managed to capture all of them, and they're slowly producing the required stuff. And of course, by stuff I mean all the things in here. I need the void cores to upgrade the hammer, this guy, into the void forge, and then the other golem, the monstrosity there, not the monstrosity, the harbinger, drops entire blocks of witherite right there, which I've since used to create myself a mechanical fusion anvil, and this is what's supposed to let me upgrade to the void forge. In fact, I figured, why don't I just show you guys? You put one of those there, one of these here, beep bop bosh, bing bang bosh. I just been saving up this moment so I can do at least this bit on camera with you guys. Oh, I didn't realize these were that large. Hello. Off camera, I did also happen to work on the maces and actually get all 19 maces of destruction. And all that leaves me with is the Eternal Stellas and the Piercing Vengeance Foci. I almost forgot to mention that those Eternal Stellas are coming from this bee right here, the Stellarite bee, which is a pain in the backside to get. You see, to get a Stellarite bee, you have to look at its spawn egg, and to get its spawn egg, you have to get 4 Eternal Stellas and then put it in a manual Hephaestus forge, and then forge it down with 2 Stellarite pieces and an ancient bee spawn egg. Yeah, not exactly my definition of fun. But hey, it's done now, and I have over a stack of Eternal Stella to spare. And you know, in the process of figuring out this bee stuff, I happened to fix what was once broken. I now finally happen to have a functional bee script, I feel like, and this will now be uploaded to the newly renovated Discord area. A special thanks to the Matter, who took it upon himself to fix my Discord up for me, so thank you. And should you want to follow along with my scripts or just in general chat about what's up, join the Discord. It's quite a fun time. All that is to say that I think I can finally make the Oblivion Shard. I'll have to make the Void Forges manually. Other than this, everything else has a recipe and can be auto-crafted. The recipe has been put in place, and now I believe all I gotta do is do that, and now I can hold the Oblivion Shard. I did not get the achievement. Oh my god, I must be missing something. Well, it turns out I hadn't held the meat shredder, so I just made one, but it also looks like I haven't held 2 Piercing Vengeance Foci, so I just gotta make 2 of these real quick. Uno and dos, and this should be done fairly quickly. I'm not gonna lie, I had to go all the way back and time one that guy really quickly. And if my math hasn't failed me, this Galgadorian drill should be the last item I need before I get my quests. There it is. Now that means that I can now go full circle and circle on back to the pulsating black hole. You see, keen-eyed viewers might have noticed the pattern that has been chilling in my inventory all this time. This guy happens to be a crafting pattern for the pulsating black hole, and suddenly this thing no worky anymore. Looking at the recipe over here, the first item happens to be the fire upgrade orb. Over here, it is the Manhattan module from ORITECH, and that is what I want to do in this episode. Looking at the recipe for the Manhattan module, you need plutonium pellets and Heisenberg compensator. And the cheapest way to make plutonium for me happens to be adamant ingots in an assembler, which is going to be our first ORITECH machine. Adamant ingots are really easily made with just diamonds and nickel. Making the assembly machine requires you to have motors as well as copper reinforced plating. That plating happens to come from just regular old steel of all things, but it does also use something called biosteel, which is the ORITECH's own version of something or the other. The motor requires nickel and steel once again, and hooray, telescopic crafting recipes, it also requires magnetic coils, which fortunately for me can be made with aluminum wire and steel ingots. You just sort of smack all of these things together and you end up with an assembler, somehow. I just gotta wait for wires. Now here's the neat part about holding on to an ORITECH machine. As you're holding this, it tells you where and what size the machine is going to occupy. So knowing that this is a 2x2 based machine, I can put it down here And then when I right click this guy, it tells me that the machine is not assembled and asks me to add core blocks. Core blocks happen to be ORITECH's very own progression system, and you start off with the primitive, then you do little things, and then you can make the basic, and so on and so forth. I am at the stage where I can take the iron, or the second tier, the basic machine cores, and plunk them down right here. Right clicking this, and this is why we love ORITECH, folks. This is why we love ORITECH. But don't worry, you're gonna get to see a lot of these animations very, very soon. Every single ORITECH machine comes with this little port in the back, this little blue guy, and this is where you would put a machine extender. Now, unfortunately for me, the machine extenders happen to be a higher tier doohickey that I can't quite make yet, given that I need at least carbon to do that. My dreams of carbon fiber are a little ways away, but any of the faces of the machines can be used to send power directly into the machines, and now we have a fully functional assembler. Now if I just sneak under and behind this machine, I can hook this machine up via a pattern provider right behind it. In fact, I'm fairly certain that all other faces of the machine can also be interacted with via a pattern provider. The first recipe I'm putting in here is the plutonium pellets. I happen to have Duraplast sheets, adamant ingots, as well as plutonium dust. Now you might be like, hey KSAW, you never did plutonium dust, how can you say you have plutonium dust? And to that I say JEI happens to be your best friend, because small plutonium dust turns into plutonium dust, and small plutonium dust can come from the pulverized plutonium found in modern industrialization. Just remember to click this button and say small dust instead, and bada bing, bada boom, you have just shortcutted your way into plutonium. Hell yeah. Plutonium pellets should now be mine. If I right click over here, it just took a moment. Look at it go. Over the course of the next 8 seconds. There we are. 1 plutonium pellet. Now between MI for the plutonium and immersive engineering for the Duraplast, I was able to skip the plutonium step fairly simply. A Heisenberg compensator, on the other hand, is not going to be as nice to me, because I will have to make some progress into ORITECH itself. The atomic forge requires me to have the enteric compound, the flux gate, as well as the duritium. And the duritium happens to be made best in an alloying process in a foundry within ORITECH itself. And guess who's made a foundry? Another 1x2 block structure that's gonna need a few core blocks. But hey, it's all in the name of progress. Core blocks in place, right click the thing, and let's take a proper gander at this one. Zip zoop zap, we have a foundry. Let's just set this to fill evenly and pop a gate on here for power. We can check out more of what this is capable of in a second. Once again, a pattern provider in the back and a logistical transporter to take the crafted item out of the machine. And I am gonna hook this up directly into the PTP that's supplying my create stuff with channels. That is because I'm fairly certain I have approximately 10 or so on this PTP right here. Yeah, 16. Much better. I changed up the cabling to put orange concrete in the back because of course it's gotta be orange concrete to match the vibe. Gonna bring it all the way up to the top and replace the top with orange Luminax blocks. Like so. Oh, wait a minute, that's incorrect. I would like them to be 1 block higher, please. Please and thank you. With netherite and platinum, you get 1 duritium, and I'm gonna put that in the pattern provider. With duritium checked off the list, I'm gonna move on to the flux gate, which requires me to make carbon fiber with 1 centrifuge. And given a choice of these 2 recipes, I don't know why anyone would go for the recipe up top, especially given that you need carbon fiber strands from the centrifuge to make the centrifuge. That makes no sense at all. I'm just gonna do this and then encode the recipe. I'll put it here. That's the perfect place for it. Now given that this is one of the smaller machines here, I think I'm just gonna have to deal with that by making this a new machine wall for this side of the base. And of course, we're gonna look at the animation. So cool. Now looking at these two recipes, obviously the one that takes less time is the choice here. And I'm gonna put this in this pattern provider right here, but it's not connected yet, so let me just really quickly drag on a cable down and pretend I didn't forget that at all. Let's just do this. You're gonna have to watch me suffer. And now I can request myself a carbon fiber rod. Let's see what this does. That's excellent animation and design right there. With the carbon fiber, I can now automate the processing patterns, and with the processing patterns, the mod sort of opens up into a bunch of the other things. But hey, we need to stay on track. I need to run on over to the assembler over here and give it this pattern. And while I'm at it, I might as well just also give it the other pattern. And just like that, I have processing units, but I am missing fluxite. Fluxite comes from charging amethyst, or washing some platinum, or centrifuging some platinum, or fragmenting some platinum, or indirect block destruction of amethyst clusters, which does sound cool, but having to grow amethyst to just break it into fluxite seems like such an ordeal, given that I can just simply put it in my power and it only uses 12,000 FE. In fact, here's my system making 1,000 just cause. 1,000 fluxite in hand, I should finally able to request a flux gate. And it only takes 10 or 8 seconds, and this one's 12. These recipes are a bit slow, and of course you can speed them up with additional speed upgrades. The cores do not speed up the machines. They just allow you to put on more upgrades. And hey, the flux gate is done. And enduring compound has me coming back to this machine, the centrifuge once again, because 2 ender dust makes enduring compound. It's just that simple. 1 platform later, this thing can go in the exact middle, and I can now slap on the 8 cores that I had. I think I made the exact number I needed. I made 12 at some point, and yeah. Once again, let's witness this cool animation. Atomic Forge. Now, holding Alt on this guy tells us that this needs to be powered using the indirect lasers, so... Indirect lasers will have to go somewhere in this room. And yeah, I sort of made a room off camera here. I forgot I was supposed to record. It's honestly been too long. Yeah, so sorry about that. This is what the room looks like. It's reinforced plating in the nickel and copper variety, and a little bit of a motif, harking back to the colors of ORITECH itself. Of course, to keep it within the same style as the rest of my base, I'm still going with the black and white roof like that, and the grey borders, just with the sunken in wall so that there's a little bit of an edge there. If you watch the FAQ video, you'll know how much I love my little bit of depth using the frame blocks. Anyways, it's time for lasers. And I think I'm gonna put each one of these lasers in the corners here. I don't know how many lasers you need, so I just made a few, and it does look like these guys move around. Are they following me? This guy needs a thing on top, a thing on top, and a thing on top of all of these, and right-clicking all of these should bring up the lasers. Let's do it. And yeah, it does seem like they follow me. Ooh. That's creepy. Maybe not too creepy. I think it's a little cool actually. These lasers, do they take gates? The answer is yes, they do. They do take gates, and I'm gonna put the gates on the insides here so that they're now visible from the outside. Perfect. I've since gone out back and hooked up the Atomic Forge to its own little pattern provider. I think I'm ready for some patterns here. So I'm gonna use, let's see, Unholy Intelligence. I think I'm gonna go with the AI chip recipe because that seems like it will be easier, maybe, perhaps. The AI chip is made in another engraving process using the deuterium that I've already set up once. The advanced computing engine is also built in the engraver, and the silicon wafer is also built in the engraver. Excellent. Now I must point out that you gotta put all of your pattern providers in blocking mode just so that they don't overcrowd two recipes into the same machine at the same time, should they be trying to do something. Now I'm hoping that I can just say the Heisenberg doohickey compensator and just click yes and watch it do the thing, but I bet it's gonna make a bunch of carbon fiber first. And the ORITECH machines are invisible at a distance. Interesting. It's doing nothing right now. How do I link these together? Aha, it's the target designator. Just gotta make me one of them. Fairly easy, I guess. Gotta wait for a few crafts. And it goes here. And then two of these would go on either side. Alright, so do you just shift right click this guy and then shift right click that guy? It does seem like you do. Just gonna do that. And oh boy, it's doing something. In fact, I just decided to make some things. And sure enough, it is actually doing stuff. This mod is something else, honestly. And hey, wait a minute, that's my first Heisenberg compensator done. That's pretty cool, actually. All I gotta do is this, and then go back into my stuff here and drag and drop this over here somewhere. Perfect. And here is the Manhattan module. With the Manhattan module in hand, I can re-encode the pulsating black hole recipe and put it back to where it belongs. That is in the assemblers. And just to be sure, I'm gonna retry making the pulsating black hole, and it just completed itself. So, you know, this will make no difference at all, but to me it does. I'm gonna take off this pulsating black hole and put in the other one. You can totally tell the difference. To round out my episode, I want to continue working on this behemoth that I was setting up when we last talked. Now I set this up because I happen to be a big enjoyer of the spaghetti, but as much as I like the spaghetti, doing this at this scale was quite the nightmare. I did happen to send a post in the Patreon side of the Discord server where I was ranting about how much of a pain actually managing each and every single one of these connections has been, because I constantly keep having to route cables around each other and over the top and around the back. But you know what? It's giving Windows 95 pipes screensaver, and it's oddly cathartic. And honestly, I'm here for it. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna hook all of these up together. If memory serves me right, I did go ahead and happen to have the proper filters on all of these storage buses, so having a single export bus on that buffer down there should be the appropriate way to set this up. That's going to pull items out and send it into the black network. It has all of these storage buses connected to it. I'm going to link the wireless connector in the back to the wireless connector that's going to be receiving the items, and then I'm going to connect this wireless connector all the way over here underneath my nuclear reactor. Boop. And you know, actually powering this behemoth in this arrangement wasn't something I had thought about, given that my steam engine is all the way over there, but that's a problem that can be solved by simply spamming down 100 encased chain drives. All I gotta do is make sure they all connect, and I should be able to just route the power in, around, and below my base, because that's what the basement is for. Yeah, it's quite a mess down here. And finally, this singular gearbox should mean that everything is now powered and spinning. Hopefully. Well, most of it is. What's happened here? Oh, it just needed an update. I can then put the casing back on. And hopefully... something's missing and incorrect. Okay, let's try this again. Let's make one Patrick star, please. This should send pink to the pink, the pink concrete powder to the pink concrete powder, the concrete to the concrete. And just as this is going to happen, I'm going to take a screenshot, because I'm struggling to see what's incorrect right now. Are those missing something? It does seem like they are. Excellent. Perhaps we know what's wrong. Let's do a quick little screenshot. Going down line by line, I've already found an error. This pink concrete powder is supposed to be magenta concrete. And that means that this red line is supposed to extend further by a block. Now, I could fiddle around with this, but I think the easiest way by far would to use a color applicator. Now, if memory serves me right, it was this guy that was actually supposed to be red. It's unfiltered, and I should now be able to take the pink concrete out of there, and that should get refilled with the red concrete instead. Or not red, magenta. Okay. Oh, and that's another mistake right here. These are both storage buses. One of them is supposed to be an interface. So, I'm gonna grab one of those. I'm gonna need my wrench back. I think I'll put my wrench in the system. Let's just take this storage bus off, put this interface on. That should fulfill everything. And wait a minute, you're missing an item. I think that's this pink concrete right here. It's supposed to go in that spot, and it's not been pulled out. That means that storage bus is unable to get access to whatever that buffer is trying to provide. So time to trace back a network connection, guys. Aha! It just started off by itself. That means there's a successful craft there. There we go. Autocraft's complete. And with that, I also have fully automatic Patrick stars. Very cool. And of course, in typical fashion, I get to come back to this wall and do that to it. You know, this does make me very happy. With this immense board of progress behind me now out of the way, I'm gonna have to wrap up this episode. Of course, a huge thank you goes to my patrons, whose names are currently going up across the screen. Thank you, patrons. Your continuous support keeps KSAW and the computer alive. My lovely patron supporters do get 24 hours early access to all of my uploads, and also get a sneak peek behind the scenes of what I'm up to as I'm doing it. In fact, they also get pictures from vacation sometimes. But anyways, guys, with all that being said, this has been KSAW from All the Mods 10. I'll see you next time, where there may or may not be more lasers involved. Peace out, everybody.